Howdy, I'm Riley, though my checks are made out to Megan. I'm 25 and I currently live in Hood River, Oregon.
Why do I want to attend Ada? Well, learning to program opens a vast range of career opportunities, as nearly every part of my life, in business, socially, at home, is interwoven with technology. I'm surrounded by computing interfaces, and being able to talk to them enables me to further interact with my world. See a problem that could be solved by a new app or a more streamlined computing system? By learning to code, I give myself the tools to turn those ideas into reality.
I built my first computer at age 6, though over time my focus shifted more to literature and the arts. Now that I'm reinvestigating what I want to do as my long-term career, computer science has again piqued my interest. As with anything I find interesting, as soon as I decided I wanted to pursue coding, I went online. The wealth of information is almost overwhelming, so after a bit of initial research, I decided to just start somewhere and then figure out what I wanted to do next.
This summer, I began CS50, Harvard's Introduction to Computer Science course offered through edX. You start with a few projects in Scratch and move on to coding in C. I also picked up some introductory calculus books so I could brush up on my higher math, of which I've done little since high school. And I started learning to program in Python on Codecademy.com. I chose Python over other languages because you have to start somewhere, and in the long term I'm interested in data analysis, and my research showed that Python and R are the two most currently used languages for analyzing large data sets.
In the near future, I plan to graduate from Ada and find a job on a software development team in Seattle. I will continue my self-study and, as my coding skills develop, begin focusing on the tools I need to analyze larger sets of data and visualize those results for a greater audience. Then I will look for a position on a team where I can create the tools we need to analyze the plethora of data available these days and work to find answers to social and political questions.
Whether I'm starting school right away or not, I am moving to North Seattle early this September with my boyfriend as he begins his career as a firefighter in Everett. Neither of us are strangers to low incomes and hard work, and we are totally prepared to live on one salary while he begins his career and I prepare for mine. I'd worked nearly full-time all through my undergraduate program, so even with the intensity of Ada, being able to go through school without another job and without amassing another hefty pile of debt is a dream. When was the last time I made a mistake, you ask? Well, the last time I made a mistake was probably when I got up at 4 a.m. to open the coffee shop yesterday and put my shirt on inside out. But that was easily rectified and doesn't make for a great story. Before we get to a better mistake, let's talk about learning.
Most of my learning begins on the internet, and learning to dye yarn was no exception. I found message boards and community sites devoted to fiber arts, read about various methods, learned what materials I needed, ordered some basics, and dove right in. To have repeatable results, I had to measure everything exactly, take meticulous notes, control all the variables. But to develop a sense for what colors to add, in what order, and what ratio, it's an exciting, almost alchemical process. Learning to dye yarn involved lots of trial and error. Ruined skeins of yarn because I didn't tie them properly, gorgeous colors I couldn't repeat because my initial labeling system was not as waterproof as I had hoped. But each time I learned how to streamline my process and improve the quality of my work until, after only a few months, I began offering the product for sale.
Which brings us to the topic of mistakes. An important mistake I made occurred when I had to dye 2,000 skeins of yarn, which, to put that into perspective, is 10 times the largest order I'd had. The yarn came in 2 weeks later than expected. I calculated the hours I would need to dye the yarn based on number of pots I had, skeins I could dye per pot, etc. And I determined that with concerted effort, I could still complete the project by the deadline. Well, in my scheduling calculations, I did not take into account the end step of labeling and packaging the yarn for shipment. So as I entered the last week of work, I was on schedule with dyeing, but had massive piles of yarn lying around unboxed. With the help of friends and one UPS worker who waited testily while I threw yarn into the last box, I did end up getting the project done by the deadline. However, in the future, I would not let the stress of a deadline impede my ability to take into account every aspect of a project and make sure that I've addressed every step down the line.
I'm excited about coding as my latest learning adventure, and I hope Ada is the next stop on that journey. I look forward to meeting you.